I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that.
And it just goes to show you exactly why she is so universally rejected right now.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
They're remaking the movie. They just got rid of the dwarves. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the characters.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Man.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Doom is a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Now for Disney, as you probably remember, all of this publicity, the Zegler interviews, the Daily Mail leak, caused a lot of unexpected, for them anyway, pre-production problems. People weren't supposed to see and understand just how unwatchable the new Snow White was going to be. It was supposed to be, kind of a surprise, but now there was no hiding.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Disney seems to be going above and beyond damage management. They're cleaning up completely and without much fuss. Snow White goods is subtly disappearing from online listings and store shelves. No last-minute deals or clearance sales according to industry sources. Unsold doll costumes, other themed products are being bundled up and sometimes destroyed to save further loss. Bundles are just gone.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the boat we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
This type of quiet erasing is almost unbelievable for a franchise that was originally predicted to rule retail, but management apparently decided to bury the items and the movie's reputation after families started boycotting the movie and revenues stagnated.
I just want to tell you guys about a incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really, really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
It feels like Disney is attempting to act as though it never happened. No rebranding, no marketing campaign, just disappear. This is more than just a botched product launch.
We're like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch and disliked person in our industry, and our industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
And it all began long before the movie was even seen. Rachel Zegler's press tour became viral for all the wrong reasons. Rather of creating excitement or displaying her charm, she provided months' supply of fodder for online jokes.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's gonna be saved by the prince, and she's not gonna be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
She ridiculed the prince as an odd stalker in one tape and joked about never having seen the original Snow White, dismissing it as eerie and out of date.
Big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
By the time Snow White hit theaters, audiences weren't coming with excitement and nostalgia, but rather with receipts, and some weren't even there. Then came the infamous royalties moment in what was supposed to be a lighthearted discussion about modern streaming. For Disney fans, these interviews weren't new. They were offensive, and social media exploded with side-by-side comparisons of the original princess's shame and Rachel's snide remarks. With a serious expression on her face, Rachel leaned in and said that each time the video is streamed, she should get paid.
Stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
It was poorly received by the internet, and a deluge of parody videos ensued. The comment became emblematic of a wider issue as a result of mocking tweets and fury from casual moviegoers who wondered how someone could be upset about pay while appearing in a multi-million-dollar Disney production. The idea that Rachel was entitled, out of touch, and unable to read people's emotions was reinforced by the fact that she made that statement before the film had even come out. It gave the impression that she was more concerned with the check than the character, and even her co-star was unable to conceal her uneasiness. During combined appearances, Gal Gadot, who portrayed the evil queen, was notably chilly, and their Oscars presentation was especially unpleasant.
Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Absence of eye contact, stiff body language, a forced smile that vanished more quickly than a trailer teaser, and behind-the-scenes reports that Gal had already distanced herself. Industry observers read between the lines, stating that Gal had nothing to gain from being associated with a PR disaster and that her silence spoke volumes. The studio may have hoped that their star power would create synergy, but instead it only highlighted the tension and disconnection between the leads, not to mention the rewrite. Rachel proposed a feminist remake of Snow White for a contemporary audience, but fans weren't interested in her new version of the story without a prince, romance, or the dwarfs.
Snow White gets her name, not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the evil queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
Disney has always been able to strike a balance between heart and message, but this time they missed the mark, and Rachel was the face of that miss. All of these moments added up to something Disney couldn't fix with edits or rebranding. The backlash wasn't just about a film, it was about how the lead actress framed the legacy, mocked the audience, and misjudged the cultural weight of the role. It's rare for Disney to cancel a release in this way, but in this case, streaming Snow White might have done more harm than good. Rachel Zegler became the protagonist of a PR cautionary tale, and Disney at least knew when to wrap things up because by the time the movie came out, the harm had already been done. This was just the beginning because the true horror wasn't what happened on screen, but rather everything that happened off of it, and the second half of the story. Oh, it only gets worse. Disney's legacy was damaged, fans were furious, and Rachel Zegler had officially gained more notoriety for her controversies than her performance. The film didn't just fail, it exploded with a $45 million opening and an incredible 1.66 rating on IMDb. The worst part is that nobody was shocked by the box office collapse. It was more of a planned event. From the time the casting was revealed, the writing was on the wall, and fans didn't just skip the film. They practically threw a party for its failure. Timelines were overrun with memes, and reaction videos appeared before the end of opening night. In the midst of the chaos, an AI-generated Rachel Zegler profile appeared on the platform and mysteriously accumulated thousands of followers almost overnight. It wasn't real, it wasn't verified, but for a brief moment, the internet wasn't sure, and that hesitation said it all. Disney had somehow created the first anti-fairy tale, and it wasn't a subversive hit, but rather a public rejection disguised as a princess story. In fact, Rachel's public opinion had reached such a bizarre intersection of notoriety and fascination that people genuinely wondered, is this how she's pivoting now? In any case, the incident became a digital punchline to a real-life PR calamity that occurred behind closed doors, despite her defenders' attempts to dismiss it as a vicious fabrication. Disney was terrified that this wouldn't be another poor live-action reimagining. The movie trended for all the wrong reasons, and ticket sales stagnated, making this a complete theatrical failure. Theaters began doing the unimaginable by gradually, subtly, but steadily removing the film from prime time slots. Safer wagers took the role of matinees. In several places, evening performances were discontinued. The producers weren't blind. They saw what was coming. The same behavior she later displayed on the Snow White set, taking over interviews, acting impulsively, and clashing with co-stars was already peeking through during those initial meetings, so they did what Disney didn't do and quietly walked her out before the damage was done. Snow White was buried so deep in the schedule that you'd need a map and a flashlight to find it. It was the cinematic equivalent of being uninvited from your own party. Formerly acclaimed as the breakout star from West Side Story, Rachel's career is now Hollywood's most recent cautionary tale. It's not just halted, it's hung in midair like a fairy tale gone awry. It's all the result of bad timing, bad optics, unbridled ego, and a complete misreading of her audience. It's not just that the movie didn't do well, that her interviews went viral for all the wrong reasons, or even that her co-star Gal Gadot looked like she wanted to disappear every time they shared a stage. It's made even more bizarre by the fact that Rachel doesn't seem to notice. She continues to perform, publish, and discuss the value of being heard, but the actual question isn't whether she's speaking, but rather if anyone is still paying attention. The industry is not cruel. Rather, it is calculating, and at the moment, it is calculating the cost of entrusting Rachel Zegler with another significant franchise, from digital punchline to Disney darling. Studios are not biting, co-stars are not defending, fans are not showing up, and the silence is louder than anything she has ever tweeted. Her decline didn't happen overnight. Rather, it happened frame by frame, soundbite by soundbite, until one of the decade's most anticipated fairy tale reboots turned into a career obituary. Ironically, the story ends not with a prince or a kiss, but rather with a warning. In Hollywood, being the fairest of them all means knowing when to stop talking and when to stop attempting to rewrite the entire storybook.